The Real Housewives of Les Mills or something.
It would have more Mormonism in it than Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Ogden, Utah.
Oh, we're going back.
Take me back to the beautiful lands of Ogden, Utah.
Oh,
what is Nikki like as a child?
I came out of my mama's womb, basically dancing. I was dancing. I was obsessed with Michael Jackson's Thriller, and I would watch the making of Michael Jackson's Thriller literally every day. So,
Wow.
and such a fun fact, my nephew, who has never known this about me, he's 7. We just went to Disneyland. He goes, Nikki, do you want to know who my favorite singer is? It's Michael Jackson. I love Thriller. I was like, wait, what? So yeah, it's like from the womb. Like I love obviously dancing. I've had a family that's been uber super supportive. My family was in and out of Mormonism, like growing up. So that was quite a journey as well, which we could talk a whole nother podcast on.
We absolutely could. We'll bring Rachel into that one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. My mom used to have one of those CD players with the huge speakers, like back in the 90s, and with the 5 CDs. And I remember my mom would have Janet Jackson, Michael Jackson, En Vogue, and Sting, which I never listened to. But I would jam out, and my mom would dance with me. My mom would learn the dances to the music videos with me. It was just a really special time. I would love to recreate the music videos. So I would watch Janet Jackson, and I would be like little 5-year-old with my Janet Jackson t-shirt trying to dance on one of those little type chairs. Like I was cheer dancing as a 5-year-old. So JoJo and I, we danced to Escapade at our wedding. And after the concert, we were in the second row, and that was beyond enough, and afterwards they pulled us aside. They took us back rows of 10 at a time into this back alley stairwell. And we just waited there. And then they said, okay, next person can go. And then Joe and I went together. Okay, I'm anticipating this being a room full of people, whole room full of people. And then I hear her just little voice, part the curtain, and she's just sitting back against the wall, beautiful as ever, in her little sweatsuit. And she goes, hi, good to meet you. And hugs Joe and I. And I'm like, you can touch the spot on my back where she touched me. I could not speak. You go into those, if you get those experiences, it's what you're going to say versus what actually happens.
Oh, yeah.
I just sat there with this creepy Joker smile. And Joe could just say, hi, Miss Jackson. We actually danced to your song at our wedding. And she goes, oh, which one? Escapade. And we thank her. We walk out of the other side of the curtain, through the veil. And Escapade's playing on a speaker outside of the room. Meeting a hero is it's scary.
Yeah.
You're they're human. We're all messy as fudge.
Yeah. Yeah.
You kind of go into it thinking, you know what? I don't know what to expect. And she was beyond anything that I could have ever imagined. She was incredible. And I ended up leaving there loving her even more than before, which was super cool.
What a celestial time of just that presence. And God, being alone in a room too, because I'm trying to recall my meet and greets. I don't think there's ever been a time when I was in a room by myself or with that person either. Bizarre.
Yeah,
I think the only thing I can think of that's more personal is I think I took Lisa Osborne to a Dollar Tree, and that was personal. But that's not Janet Jackson level.
You spoke her language. If you take that woman to Dollar Tree, Walmart. When I got into college, I started to do the whole college route. And then I was working at Gold's Gym in Ogden, Utah. I started taking classes. So I took classes from Jenny Malcolm, her last name was Jenny Nilsson, who was a trainer for Les Mills. Like, she was the first person that I ever took group fitness classes from. And she lit me up. I was like, yo, I've always wanted to be a backup dancer for Janet Jackson. And I love dancing. And weirdly, I mean, how hard is doing body combat? I mean, I can do a Batma front kick to my face. Like, so naive, but it totally intrigued me.
I'm already hearing, from the dancing perspective, there's this performance aspect of like, there's something inside of me, I got to show it. And dance felt like that vehicle from what I'm hearing.
I love make-believe, like from a little kid. I think that's why I was entranced by Thriller. I always played make-believe. I loved costumes. I loved exploring different sides of my personality, being able to express that through performing. And I felt really at home in doing that. So yeah, that's definitely, obviously, with my purple hair and what I do today, still a big high five to the mini me.
Yes. Thank goodness for mini me, Nikki, because you have so many eras of your hair. Like, Taylor Swift should be ashamed, because you certainly have. And it's really cool to look back through like older pictures of you and just see like, oh, well, that's the phase of Nikki in Grit. That's the phase of Nikki, like in Oxygen. It's cool. It's a very Madonna-esque kind of portrayal of your chapters of life.
Yeah, my hair has always been a form of my self-expression. And, I did the thing that most of us queers do is when we come out, what do? We cut our hair. Like, I did that. I definitely did change my hair, but it was much more when I was younger, like long and black, or I wanted to be like Pamela Anderson white, Britney Spears white and long. So once I fried all my hair off and I decided to come to terms with my sexuality, then my hair was chopped off next. I started getting labeled a lot as being edgy, oh, she's so edgy. And I started to identify that, oh, I'm getting opportunity. Then that would come into like some of the reasons why I got an opportunity from all different angles. And I would think, it always hit me in a like, oh, but it always had a twinge of like, like, what does that mean? Like, I'm truly being me. So this comparison of being like against the edge and raw and edgy, it never fully resonated with me. So I felt that I was like putting on a label of something that it didn't really fit. Yeah.
That strikes my heart in a way too, because I think of how cool it is to show yourself and your outward expression, but then like that word twinge of like, what are these opportunities coming for? Is it for my soul? Is it for the thing inside of me that's creating these things outward? Or is it this, ooh, edgy, like, ooh, jet black hair?
I did the whole purple hair thing. Right before Adam passed, he would say, Nick, you look like Karen from HR. Sorry if there's any Karens from HR and whatever picture you're painting in your mind, but that's your picture to paint. I'm not telling you what I looked like. He said, you need like Billie Eilish, like lime green. And I was like, fool, absolutely not. I'm not doing that. And then it was really shortly after that that he had passed away suddenly, and I started to have dreams of myself with purple hair. And I knew it. I was like, it's so crystal clear. And it felt very connected to him. Like, girl, it's time. Like, get rid of that hair now. So now I feel so much like it's so in alignment. Like, this is literally, you're seeing the closest to my soul that I've ever experienced so far. Want that and hope that for everybody, and however it manifests for them.
When you think about that person that was a dancer, that was living that outward expression of just love for music and Michael Jackson and such, there's stuff that carries forward into who we are today. But of course, we leave things behind with our youth and our innocence. Are there things you miss about that part of your fitness from childhood or adolescence that aren't the same anymore?
I laugh because there's those chords that are still so pure to that place. And it's life, the way that you think it's going to go, woo, and the way that it actually goes. So that I'm like, oh, thank God. Like, I still feel that I know the purest form of me. And I was meant to have that and take it with me through life. I am not like against what's happened to me in life. And I've learned to respond more to it than react to what's happened. Like, I took myself far too serious.
Yeah.
I was edgy and intense for a long time. And I get, like, you can hear it in my voice because that came from a time when, like, there was a lot else going on within my life, you know, within being in the depths of Mormonism, which just didn't fit for me, being married to a man in that time, which, you know, everything's changed and we're all good with our bodies now and we don't try to force people's bodies in a box. That's cool that that's in the past for all of us. That was like so deep, you know. That was in I found The Biggest Loser, like shrinking my body, pushing my body to the max and I was trying to process all of this stuff that I didn't yet have the tools to be able to know what to do with. Then I started to get recognized for being a very hard worker and a very intense, like, driven person. But it actually, like, there were times, Judson, in my life that was very, very hard for me because underneath that, there was a lot of hate, there was a lot of pain, a lot of trauma that I hadn't dealt with. And my expression of that was like kick ass.
Yeah.
And so that was a whole nother thing. And that's really when I got into the world of Les Mills, which like set me on a rocket ship. So, and I'm also thankful for myself for fighting for myself during that time of my life when I did.
Yeah.
And I got wound up in it. And there was actually a lot of self-hate in my pushing myself too, underneath it. It was mixed up in so much other bullshit too, of other people, what society wanted me to be like, what I felt that I was needing to compare myself to. And under, like, peeling back that, and now where I am, I get a point where, like, I kind of shut the door on that version of me, and I'm like, oh, like, I do need that fire and that passion, that like red fiery energy. I can't just be all like love and light. Like, I'm meant to have that anger and fuel it, and with what I know now.
I hear it. I hear it in your voice and that energy shift. And there's like those different parts of who we are, and whether it's like our inner child or like that inner fighter, like all those things coming combined. And it's not just one Nikki. It's like all of these things make up the sum of
all
who
the
you are.
versions.
And I admire earlier when you said that appreciation for mini me, because that's something I know many of us listening in therapy have gone through, and trying to find the appreciation for our younger self when it is taught and very normal to shun what we used to be or cringe at, oh, I can't believe I took that picture. I can't believe I wore that. And it's like, no, like, if you didn't do that, you wouldn't exist today, because you'd still be doing stuff like
I want to be with you and be like 88 and we're like on the couch and we're like laughing and just like still with purple hair, full body tattoos, piercings, lab, all of it, just like loving life, right? And looking back and going, damn, like, that version of me maybe was going through some things, but you know what? I love the mark too.
For real. I love watching like drag queens like reflect, and drag performers reflect on like pictures of themselves like 7 to 10 years ago, because it's almost this accelerated lifetime that we see from our adolescence to our adulthood, but they see it so fast in their makeup skills and their wig choices and their budget. And so it is like Trixie Mattel specifically. It's so nice to watch her and be like, oh, wow, like it's okay. Because if we didn't have that like busted form of Trixie, like coming from Wisconsin, we wouldn't have the Trixie of today, albeit with millions of dollars that I'll never see. But, you go, girl.
Me yet.
Yet.
Judson.
After this podcast, I mean, we'll see what happens. What was the transition from you kind of becoming participant to instructor?
Before I went to body attack training, I was supposed to go, and I decided that I wasn't going to. And my friend Mike Mitchell, if he listens to this, like forced me to go, and was like, "No, I'm supposed to work today." He's like, "Nikki, no, you're coming. You're meant to do this." So I go up and insert Amanda Scales, like lifelong hero, shero, great friend of mine, and like a rock. And she enters my life at that point. Then it was shortly after that, like I did my certification video. This is something that people don't know. It's like when I filmed my certification video for Body Attack, I failed it twice.
Oh my goodness.
Twice. 2 times. And I think on the 3rd time, there's just like, we're just going to refund you your money. So that happened. And it was like right after I had passed, we ended up going to like my first quarterly ever in California. And it was there. I did Body Attack, and I was just this little like 20-year-old participant in the class. Lisa was walking into the parking lot, and, I'm like starstruck, like Janet Jackson level starstruck being around her. It was like the first AIM-1 that they had ever done for Body Attack.
Wow.
that I took part in. And she ran across the parking lot and she said, "I just want you to know that you're absolutely meant to do this. So keep it up." And like gave me this like props, and it stuck with me forever. Like that. And she's still that person to me. Like, it's so freaking rad. Like, who would have thought? But like that moment, I felt like I knew her, like you feel that way with people that you look up to, right? Yeah. And she is like my, like even like Janet Jackson, she's my Lisa Osborne, and she literally is that human still to this day. Through it all, she sees people, like she sees people's true heart. She's touched so many of our lives and helped us, like people who didn't feel seen with a different label on, or she was like, "Oh no, we're gonna take off those labels, and like I'm gonna help elevate you." Boss ass bitch. Boss. Boss ass. A lot of folks listening may know you because your photo is plastered across the gym wall on their iPods when they play. Your image is back in the day. They may not have connected totally like, "Oh, this is Nikki," like to this person I've seen all over the place. When you think of moving from instructor into a more formal role with the company and training or presenting, how did that come about? What really got me in the door, like I always give that credit to Mysti. So Mysti Oglesby, like she was the one who, like, rest her soul. She like took me under her wing. She saw it in me, like similar to, say, before I knew Lisa, like Mysti held that spot. Yeah. She would push me, and I did my BODYJAM training with her. Her soul was just like, I knew that I knew her and that I needed her in my life. And she made me work for it. Oh my God. Like from the time I went through instructor training, she never took it easy on me. She pushed me, and I wanted it. Like I wanted that push. The first BODYJAM AIM came. Like I worked at the freaking gym. I paid for like a flight across the country. Like the amount of money I put into becoming a presenter was nuts. After I went through boot camp, and then after that, for me to get cleared, it was like you need to go shadow like 1, maybe 2 trainings. Mysti made me shadow 5.
Oh my
Like,
gosh.
I shadowed 5
No.
training. But I knew that it was coming. Like, I got frustrated. Like, I would definitely get frustrated, but I wasn't there yet. And she knew it in me that I needed the extra time. I needed the extra push.
Yeah.
And it did. Like, things clicked for me. And then everything was so much easier. Like, once I broke through, it was like a lot of that stuff that I had like suppressed for a really long time. Like, a lot of that was getting in the way of me really owning it and knowing that I am smart enough to educate people, smart enough to support people, smart enough to present education and own it. That push from her and love from her, I broke through. Like, I broke through. It's like when you're ready, the teacher will appear. That's Mysti.
Holding space for that and her memory and just how it lives on and you and so many people that don't even realize that they're trainers, right? Like, she did. And the few times I really did get to speak with her and be in her presence, I always felt that. And one of the times I felt that, and now I'm like connecting the dots because I'm thinking back, there was this quarterly in Cary, North Carolina, and like friggin' 2015, I think it was, and it was BODYJAM 74. So like amazing. Thank you, Paris. What was so cool about that is that it was just you and Mysti up there. I don't know if you remember that event specifically, but it was like,
I do.
An instructor took a video of just the I think it was Prison Riot. And I swear to God, I would go back and watch that all the time because I was just amazed by you two dancing. At that point, I wasn't dancing. And I was just like, whoa, this is so freaking cool. Like, it honestly, like, real talk, I was like, am I bi? And I was like, oh, no, I want to be her. That's what it is. But there was something about that masterclass I'll never forget. And I remember it so hard because I remember all the people being around being like, oh yeah, Jam, you probably don't want to do that. It's too hard or whatever. But there were all these people out there dancing. And so I was like on the sidelines just watching. And like from you and from Mysti, it's like you just felt like you were dancing just with you two. Like it was so special.
So Mysti said to me, she said, Nikki, everything changed for me when I stopped dancing for people and I started dancing with people.
Boom.